Okay, so we have done translations where we just move a shape. We have done reflections where we flip the shape. And now we're going to do rotations, is when you turn a shape about a specific point. We always turn the shape around 0, 0 on the graph. So when we are rotating, we need a direction. We need to know which way are we turning. And we need to know a degree measure, like how much are we supposed to be turning, okay? So when they say a direction, we have two directions. We have clockwise and counterclockwise. Now, just in case we are not aware, clockwise is the way that the clock turns, which is to the right, okay? So the clock turns this way. That's clockwise, going around in a circle this way. Counterclockwise is going to the left, which is the opposite of the way that the clock turns. So this way, okay? So here's our steps. So they're going to tell you in the question how the degrees we're turning and which way we're turning. We're going to write down the coordinates that are in the picture right now, so our pre-image, and then we're going to use these rules to change the coordinates we wrote down, and then you just have to plot the new coordinates on the graph. So you don't need to memorize this chart, you just need to be able to use it. So our options are we can rotate 90 clockwise, we can rotate 90 counterclockwise, or we can rotate 180 degrees either way, because when you turn 180, it is the same clockwise and counterclockwise, okay? So everybody starts out with our points. After we rotate 90 degrees, okay, the coordinates change like this. So you switch the order. And negative x, okay? So you take what was your x and y, you switch them. But what was your x before, now you need to change the sign, okay? So if it was positive before, now it's negative. If it was negative before, now it's positive. When we rotate 90 counterclockwise, you switch the order again. And we're negating y instead. That is why it's important that you know which direction you're turning, because you use a different rule depending on which way you turn. So you would change the order of x and y, and you would change your y sign. So if it was positive, now it's negative. If it was negative before, now it's positive. And then for rotating 180, our rule is you keep the order, but you just make, you negate x and y. So again, you're changing the signs. If it was positive before, now it's negative. If it was negative, now it's positive. So let's do an example. First step is we got to write down our coordinates, okay? So here are coordinates on the graph, D, E, and F. So I am writing down what the coordinates of D, E, and F are. Okay, so the coordinates of D, I look over here, D is right here. We know we're supposed to be writing x comma y, so that's negative 2 comma 2. Okay, E is up there. Negative 4 comma 3, and F is at negative 4 comma 1. Okay, next I'm figuring out how am I turning, like which way am I turning and by how much. So that said counterclockwise 90, so I look up my rule in the little chart. Counterclockwise 90 turns into negative y comma x. I'm going to write that down. Negative y comma x. So what am I doing? I'm changing the order and negate the y. Okay, so in this one, I'm changing the order. So my image point would be D. Now it's D prime. So I'm changing the order. So switch these order. So 2, negative 2. And I'm making the y negative. So the y was positive before. Now I'm changing it to negative. Okay, and now that's my point. Let's do it again. So I changed the order for E. Now this is E prime. Change the order. So now 3 comma negative 4. And the 3, I now need to make it negative 3. Okay. Last one, F prime. I'm changing the order. 1 to negative 4. Making the Y negative. Now I'm going to plot this on the graph. So here we go. D prime is negative 2, negative 2, D prime. E is negative 3, negative 4, E prime. F is negative 1, negative 4, F prime. We connect our dots, okay? And to double check, we know counterclockwise means it's supposed to move left 90 degrees. That means it's going to move left 1 quadrant. Okay, so when we have our graph, we know each of this is a quadrant, this is a quadrant up here. There's the 4 quadrants because that's where the X and Y like cross and they make those 4 sections of the graph. Okay, so this moved. Did it move to the left? Yes, it moved left and it moved 1 quadrant down. So I'm good. It moved correctly. I did the correct rule. Okay. Let's look at the next one. Rotating this figure 180. So I would write down my points. I would make a little table for myself with the before and the after. Okay, so ABC, I got to write these coordinates down. So A was at 3, 2. B was at 4, 1. And C was at 1, 0. Okay. I need to figure out how am I supposed to be moving this? It says right there, clockwise 180. So I'm going to go look that up in the chart. Direction for 180 doesn't matter. I just need to know 180. And my rule was negative X, negative Y. Okay, so we're going to write that down. So now it's negative X, negative Y. So you're just negating X and Y. Do not change the order. So I keep the order. So it's still 3, then 2. And I make them negative. Oh, they were both positive, so now they're both negative. And now this is A prime. We do this for all of them. Keep the order. So 4 and 1. But make them both negative. Bam, bam. Negative, negative. Last one, C prime. We keep the order, make them both negative. So negative 1. You cannot make 0 a negative. There's no such thing as negative 0. So if it's 0, you cannot make it negative. It just stays 0. Great. And now we are going to graph it. It doesn't matter. Okay, so now we're going to graph it. So A is at negative 3, negative 2. So negative 3, negative 2. A prime. B is at negative 4, negative 1. B prime. C is at negative 1, 0. So it stays there. And we connect our points. Okay. I double check. I'm moving clockwise. That means I'm moving to the right. 180, it moves 2 quadrants. So moving to the right means we're moving this way. So it started up here, and then moving 2 would be down. Here's 1, and then moving again 2. Yes, the points ended up there, so I'm good. Okay, so you can go ahead, start the formative. Make sure if you're having problems coming up with or like using the rule, make sure you send a message in the chat. Otherwise, go ahead and get started.